Today, I want to talk to you about the importance about talking about and normalizing mental health, but especially in the minorities community. Now, have you ever felt sad or angry, just an emotion you couldn't explain? That's how I felt growing up. I would cry for no apparent reason, and my parents would tell me to stop crying because everything was gonna be okay. So I learned how to put a fake smile and go on in life like that. But because of that line, I also learned how to self cut. And I will cut the pain away because I would rather feel the pain of the blade than letting somebody see the tears in my eyes. But when I turned 22, I realized that if I didn't seek help that year, I was going to commit suicide. So that year was 4 years ago, and I started doing personal development course, taking therapy sessions, and learning more about mental health. I even learned how to teach my parents about mental health and teaching them that it's okay to share your emotions because that is the only way you can deal and heal with trauma. And next time you see somebody with a smile on their face, be kind to them because you never know what they might be going through and if they also might be dealing with a mental health problem. Today, I'd like to talk to you about first, starting the conversation about mental health in the minority community. Second, how as a society we need to change our language around mental health. And finally, how minorities have lack of resources to get treatment around mental health. Now, I'll begin by telling you about the need and starting the conversation with mental health problems. According to the CDC, 1 in 5 people deal with mental health problems. And an individual who is dealing with mental health problems can affect their mood, thinking, and daily habits. And many things can contribute to their mental health, such as brain chemistry, trauma, life experience, or abuse. They may even feel sad, confused, not even able to concentrate, low energy, problems sleeping, detachment, problems with alcohol, drugs, sex drive changes, anger, violence, or even suicidal thoughts. And according to the CDC, about 10.5% of young adults aged 18 to 25 has serious thoughts of suicide, including 8.3 of non-Hispanic blacks and 9.2 of Hispanics. And at the beginning of the year up to now, we've all been dealing with something called the coronavirus and dealing with a pandemic. And when the CDC declared or stay-at-home orders and having to wear a mask, staying 6 feet apart, not seeing people who don't live in your household, this affected many people because people could no longer hug, kiss, or interact with people. They were losing their jobs and even their loved ones to this virus. And according to Corina Kenmon, around 40% of Americans are going through the depression related to the pandemic. And according to the CDC, 49% of adults say they have at least one mental health problems. And is higher among those who are between the ages of 18 to 24. Now, the minorities are dealing with 18.6% who are Hispanic and 15.1% of the non-Hispanic black community are dealing with mental health issues. Now, we went into details of the struggle with mental health. Now, you might be asking, if it's such a large problem, why is it not being talked about? Because there's a bad stigma around mental health. And as a society, we need to change how we express ourselves. Due to the media, due to culture, people have categorized individuals who are dealing with mental health issues, such as they are crazy, incapable of assuming responsibilities, weak, lazy, or just an excuse to not live up to their full potential. And even in society, we have put labels with gender. If you're a woman, you are considered emotional. If you're a man, you are considered weak. And in most cultures, especially the minority community. You are not to talk about the mental health because of lack of education. People tend to talk about that nobody cares about your emotions, and that is why you need to keep it to yourself and pray to God that they are going to hear your problems. And this is why it's such a low number of the minority community that seeks help, because of the stigma around mental health. Now, you can see why we need to change the language we use to describe mental health, but now we need to look at the resources available to minorities dealing with mental health. And there are some free resources, such as things that you can find on the internet. Be around positive energy, reach out to your loved ones, limit screen time, engage in hobbies, understand you're not alone, meditating, or journaling. And we even have a suicide prevention lifeline, which is 1-800-273-8255. But for others, it might help. But if you are really dealing with a serious mental health problem, so you might need medication or therapy sessions. And the average therapy session costs in between 120 to 220 per hour. And an average person can't pay that fee, especially if they have to take several therapy sessions. There are free and low cost locations, but there are some, most of the time, overbooked, and they can't see you regularly due to the high volume of clients. And the last thing, you might get a therapist which might not be able to relate to you due to their gender or their skin color or just not your culture, and many times you have to explain yourself to them before your whole therapy session starts, which prevents individuals to fully self-express themselves or to be understood with all the trauma they are dealing with because the other person can't relate. Today, I talked to you about the need to deal with childhood trauma. And then second, how as a society we need to change our language around mental health. Lastly, how minorities have lack of resources. And as you can see, this all has contributed to mental health. And mental health has become of gender, race, social, economic background. It does not care. It can happen to you or anyone. So next time you see someone upset, don't tell them to get over it. Instead, listen to what they have to say and let them cry. Let them tell you what is wrong, because you never know what the person is going through. Now, pass this message on to anyone who is going through a hard time in life. It is okay to not be okay. And as I'm still in the middle of this journey and I still struggle daily, I have learned how to live a great life and not let my mental health and my mental illness define me, because I promise you there are better days coming, because today is the day we make it okay to talk about mental health. And I'm going to leave you with a short message from Glenn Close, who is the co-founder of Bring Change to America. While mental health needs is more sunlight, more candor, and more unashamed conversations. Thank you for your time.